Yuktan Bodharajena Mayina Kamarupina Lilaya Vyanudhatan Stan Bala Kridanakaniva. Others? Prayuktan Bojarajena Mayina Kamarupinaha Lilaya Vyanudattam Stan Bala Kridanakaniva. Prayuktan Bojarajena Mayina Kamarupina Lilaya Vyanudattam Stan Bala Kridanakaniva. Lady? Prayuktan Bojarajena Mayina Kamarupina Lilaya Vyanudattam Stan Bala Kridanakaniva. Prayuktan, engaged. Bojarajena, by King Kamsa. Mayina, great wizards. Kamarupinaha, who could assume any form they liked. Lilaya, in the course of the pastimes. Vyanodat, killed. Tan, them. Tan, as they came there. Balaha, the child. Kridanakan, dolls. Eva, like that. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. The atheist purport. The atheist Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna just after his birth. He failed to do so. But later on, he got information that Krishna was living in Vrindavan at the house of Nanda Maharaj. He therefore engaged many wizards who could perform wonderful acts and assume any form they liked. All of them appeared before the child Lord in various forms, like Aga, Baka, Putana, Sakata, Chinavarta, Dhenuka, and Gardaba. Gardaba. And they tried to kill the Lord at every opportunity. But one after another, all of them were killed by the Lord, as if he were only playing with dolls. Children play with toy lions, elephants, boars, and many similar dolls. which are broken by the children in the course of their playing with them. Before the Almighty Lord, any powerful living being is just like a toy lion in the hands of a playing child. No one can excel God in any capacity, and therefore no one can be equal to or greater than him. Nor can anyone attain the stage of equality with God by any kind of endeavor. Jnana, yoga, and bhakti are three recognized processes of spiritual realization. The perfection of such processes can lead one to the desired goal of life in spiritual value, but that does not mean that one can attain a perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavors. The Lord is the Lord at every stage. When he was playing just like a child on the lap of his mother, Yashoda Mai, or just like a cowherd boy with his transcendental friends, he continued to remain God, without the slightest diminution of his six opulences. Thus, he is always unrivaled. Om Agyanata Vrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunjam Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Galoti Pachalam Bangalatayati Kudim Chatkripa Tamaham Bande Shri Guru Bilataya Bhavavananda Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, here again we have Uddhava remembering the Leela of Krishna and reflecting on how powerful the Lord is, that even these great wizards, described Mayina, capable of creating all kinds of maya, illusions, including the assumption of any form. And we saw how, beginning with Putana assumes the form of a wonderfully beautiful lady. Trinavarta assumes the form of a whirlwind. Sakatashura takes the form of a cart. Interesting. Now, Agasura, form of a great snake. Then we have Aristasura in the form of a great bull. Vatsasura in the form of a small calf. Pralambasura in the form of a small young boy. Dhenukasura as a donkey. Bakasura. Now Bakasura, Baka is the name of a crane. So it was a question to me, was he a crane? That just, like, that just happened to be also a wizard? Or was he a wizard person who could assume the form of a crane? And now we have one that does anyone know who Garbada is? That's first I've heard of Gardaba. Who's Gardaba? I'll have to do a little search. Somebody can search for Gardaba. I'm not sure who is Gardaba Asura. But all of these Asuras, they were all related to each other also. And they're all Asuras. They're all given the title Asura. They were related to each other. Putana was related to Baka, who was related to Who is the... What's that? Okay. Hare Krishna. So Bakasura is related to Putana, and I think there was one other, maybe Trinavarta, I'm not sure. Anyway, they were related to each other. They were connected. They were a clan of wizards, and they were very happy to get this assignment from Kamsa. One other thing that could be researched, it's been a little bit of a puzzle to me at least. What exactly did Kamsa know about Krishna until Krishna arrives in Mathura? Did he, because later we hear about Kamsa being informed and being enlightened with the fact that this is the 8th child of Devaki. It appears that prior to Kamsa's, Krishna's appearance in Mathura, or just before that, Kamsa knows about Krishna. Putana goes to kill Krishna as part of her general assignment. She's assigned to kill all the newborn children. And so Krishna is just one of those. And from that point on, Krishna becomes a target of Kamsa's demoniac associates because he may be. There's not quite the certainty that this is the one, but it seems quite possible. So, for various reasons, Kamsa attempts to kill Krishna. But on the other side, what we're hearing here is about the response, Krishna's response. Krishna is in Leela. Now, this term Leela doesn't really have a proper translation in English. Prabhupada translates it as pastimes. But there's something much more to this concept, as we're hearing here. The end of this purport, Srila Prabhupada draws our attention to the quality of Krishna as Assam Wardva, one who has no equal and no one greater. This is the clear definition of the Supreme God. That individual personality, being, entity, who has no equal and no superior. The term, I was looking for a proper, how you should say, declination of the term asamordva, but just my very low level of Sanskrit breaks it down to meaning not, sama meaning equal, and urdhva meaning superior. So one who is asamurdhva is one who has no sama, no equal, or no urdhva, no superior. And throughout the Vedas, we find Krishna described in this way or stating his position. In the Bhagavad Gita, we have matak patataram nanyat kinchidasti. Because my verses are so, you Bhakti Shastri students have to keep up with your verses, okay? Not like me. Matat patararam nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani gana iva. So directly Krishna is stating here, matat patararam nanyat. There is no one greater than me. He is specifically telling us, there is no one greater than me. Everything rests on me. Like pearls strung on a thread. Everything rests on me. In the Gita also, we find him saying, well, let me get to that. To support this, we find many other statements, and in various places. Just last night I was reading in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Srila Prabhupada explains how Bhaktivinoda Thakur lists out various places in the Vedas that supports the principle that Krishna is the supreme being. He quotes the Svetasvatara Upanishad, he quotes the Katha Upanishad, he quotes other different scriptures. The Svetasvatara Upanishad is especially quoted, and he quotes this very wonderful verse, set of verses, which is also in this purport of the Gita 3:22. Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Devatanam Paramam Chadaivatam Patim Patinam Parama Parastad Vidhama Devam Bhuvanesham Idyam Natasya Karyam Karanam Chavidyate Natat Samas Chabhyati Kascha Drishyate Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Svabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha. This is Svetasvatara Upanishad 6, 7, 8. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers. So we have the same principle. He is the controller of other controllers. He is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Devatanam Paramam Chadaivatam. Amongst all the daivas that surround us, we don't see them. But everywhere there are powerful living beings. In our experience, we may have some perception of a powerful person who is able to control and manifest armies. But they're like ants in the face of the universal controllers, the daivas, who control everything in this universe. The breath we breathe, the directions we look in, the light of the sun, the rain, the fire in our belly. Everywhere there are highly powerful beings that control what is going on. We don't see them. We don't perceive them. We think everything is going on automatically. That's our perception of nature as some like finely tuned machine. But this machine of nature also has 330 million devatas involved in keeping it going, making it work. And because they have this power, they also, and because they are jivas like you and I, which is fairly incomprehensible to us, what kind of life that would be to be a daiva, and I can't conceive of it myself. I can't relate yet. I mean, of course, I've attempted to try to imagine how how does it work? How could I, if I were Indra, how would I go about my control of the weather? Anyway, it all breaks down. My intelligence is tiny. I can't understand such things. But I accept that everywhere there are these powerful beings. And amongst them all, Krishna is the Daiva of the Daivatas. He is the Param Pati, the Patim Pati Nam Paramam Parastat. He is the supreme amongst all, the director of all directors, the leaders, controllers. But then, Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate. Although he is the controller of everything, he has nothing to do. And there we get to the point of Leela. Leela is that expression, that activity which has no compulsion. There's no need for Krishna to do anything that he's doing. He's not forced by any kind of nature to do anything. When it says that he has nothing to do, does not mean that he does not do anything. He has nothing to do. We have so much that we must do. If we don't get up we don't brush our teeth, for example, then we will suffer from various ailments. If we don't eat, we'll starve. If we don't work in general, we won't get the means to survive. We have to do so many things. In our relationships, we have to do so many things. If we're not polite with each other, we'll get into trouble. If we don't behave in a certain way with our friends and our associates and our family, then we see the results. We are forced by nature, forced by circumstance, forced by karma to do so many things. But Krishna has nothing to do. He is all powerful. So when he does something, it is purely out of his play, his leela. His leela is his pastime. He's not required to do anything. He's simply acting to enjoy. And what is that enjoyment? Love. Loving relationship with those that love him. That is the focus of his leela. And in that leela, by his arrangement, demons appear. These asuras appear. We were talking about that the other day, that Krishna, and this is so interesting, we have the descriptions in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam of our world, our universe, of the various lokas and what is the mandalas, the Bhumandala and the various what are they like varshas, the Ilavrata Varsha, the Kimpuru, the various places, and some of the Jambudweep and so on. And we get descriptions of mountains of gold, and we get descriptions of oceans and lakes of juice and just all these kind of really amazing sort of far out opulences, unimaginable type of things that are described, and the heavenly planets and all the amazing arrangements of stuff that we can hardly imagine these. But then when we hear about Krishna's Goloka, we hear about his place. It's very simple. It's forests, cows, forest flowers, some rivers, some hills, no mountains of gold, no floating palaces, no oceans of Varuni beverage or whatever. It's all very simple. Because Krishna ultimately enjoys a simple life of love. And he also likes a routine, it appears, because he likes to do the same things every day. He gets up in the morning, he has his pastimes, his Leela with Mother Yashoda, and then eventually he goes out with his friends into the forest and has his pastimes. And part of his routine to work up an appetite is to kill some demons. So we find that around, anyone familiar with I think it's probably around 11 o'clock or something like that, 11, 12. This is called the Ashtakaliya Leela of Krishna. The 8 different times of Krishna's Leela. So there's a particular time where he enjoys this kind of play. Now, any of you, not so many of you have had children. We have, my wife and I, and Gunamai. Anyone else here? No. All right. Well, if you've had small children, then you may be familiar with the pastime of breaking dolls. It's not enough to have a doll, okay? It's good, okay, we play with my doll, but then at a certain point, there's some sort of taste in busting it up. And if you're really, of course, you haven't had children, but you have been children, correct? Anyone here not been a child? No, you've all been children. Now, how many here remember in their childhood breaking things? Raise your hand. How many of you particularly like to perhaps break a doll and then try to kind of put it back together in a funny way? The head on the bottom and the legs on the sides and, right? Even the girls. We have several girls. And they would take their dolls and tear off the heads and burn the hair with matches. Or, so, just because it's, for a child, this is play. So this was Krishna's play. At home, perhaps, if he broke his toys at home, Mother Yashoda might get angry. But if he kills a demon like a toy, then everyone applauds. So, he's got the best. So this is Krishna's Leela. Krishna does not have to do anything, and yet he manifests a life, a wonderful life. Now there is an aspect to this, because Krishna enjoys routine, and yet he also enjoys things to be fresh and new. So even though he is God and knows everything, and he is the controller of everything, he willingly forgets. He willingly forgets himself. He allows Yoga Maya. He uses his own energy, Yoga Maya, to cover himself. Just like, again, children. The small child, you put your eyes in front of them, and you say, they put a little cloth over their heads, and then the parent says, "Where is our youngest is Sita. Where's Sita? Where's Sita? And then she pulls the cloth above it. Oh, there she is, right? You remember this little pastime as a child? Anyway, if you have children ever, you'll see this is one of the favorite little activities. So Krishna does that, allows Yogamaya to cover his own perception of his own God nature. He doesn't lose it. It's not that it goes away. It's instantly there the moment it is needed. The moment that godness is required to kill a demon or whatever, it's at his fingertips. But in the instant that he wants to enjoy the love of his mother, to be tied up by her, to relish that mood after being tied up by Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda goes about her business, and Balaram appears. He was not there at the time, and because I can't remember the reason, but there was some good reason. Was it his birthday? No, that was another time, I think. Anyway, he was not there. So he shows up, and Krishna, just to give you an indication, Krishna has adopted, up until before that, he wouldn't even let himself be tied. Right? Mother Yashoda couldn't tie him. And now he's in the mood of, I'm tied up and I can't get free. He's thinking, somebody's got to let me loose. That's the mood he's adopted. And Balaram would be, okay, you can do this. You can. And Balaram, well, I better, Mother Yashoda has tied you up? First his first response, who has tied you up? And then it's Mother. Oh, uh-oh. And he goes to Yashodama, according to one story, I don't know where it's from, but according to one story, he goes to Yashodama and describes, do you know what you've done? You've tied up the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller of everything. And she looks at him like he is, a joker. And says, and next you're going to bring all the demigods into our house? And in this way, Krishna and Balaram demonstrate how they simultaneously maintain their full awareness, their full cognizance, their all power, and yet they play like little children. So no one can be greater or equal to such personality. No one can imitate. Srila Prabhupada often brings us to this point, that we can see and understand the nature of Krishna, that although he is the supreme controller of everything, although he is the source of everything, although he is everywhere, he remains a person with his personal activities, his activities that are not forced, natasya karanam cha vidyate, but are enacted, they're made possible by his energy. Parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. Svabhavahi jnana balakriyacha. Because he has unlimited power, he can and does do anything and everything. Everything is being done by Him. We exist. We are going on because of His energy. We are His energy. This world is His energy. It's functioning by His energy. Everything's going on by His energy. And yet, He is aloof. He's independent. This is how He is the Supreme Being. He can be simultaneously doing everything and yet independent of everything. That is the quality of God. That person who has no equal and no superior. Not formless, not without activity. If He had no activity or He had no form, then He would be without something. God, by definition, has everything. So if we say that God has no form, then it's a contradiction in terms. By definition, God must have everything, so He must have form. He must have personality. His personality, however, is not limited. He's not constrained to one personality. We are struggle to maintain and develop just a persona in the material world. Everyone is working towards creating their persona, their personality, by style. They adopt a particular style, or they find, okay, I'm going to wear this kind of clothing, and I'm going to wear my hair in this particular way, and I'm going to speak in a certain way, and I'm going to have particular things that I'm known for doing, and I'm going to be expert in this, or whatever. Everyone works towards creating their personality in this world within the constraints of their body and mind and intelligence and their karma. Some individuals, we were commenting the other day about how celebrity TV has made it possible for ordinary people to become famous and great personalities simply by exploiting the medium of the television system to make people interested in nothing. Basically just no talent, okay, all they were able to do is get themselves out there enough that people became interested in them. And that itself becomes interesting, and then because they become famous for being famous, and without anything really other than they got themselves out. But that's the kind of thing that people are working on this world. But Krishna doesn't have to do anything. Automatically, by His energy, every wonderful thing is manifest. By His desire, all varieties of personality emerge in the personality of Godhead, according to His Leela. It may be the personality of Narasimhadev. He has that power to assume the form of a lion man, the form of a pig, or a fish, or a turtle. It's said that he has assumed an avatar in every species of life. I've read. I don't know, much about that. What is his insect avatar, for example? But he has this power. He is that supreme person who has no limitations and from whom everything is coming. With whom there is no equal, and with whom there is no superior. And we are here in this temple of Sri Sri Radha Govinda to surrender to that person, to surrender to him and to engage in his service, to awaken our love. By the grace of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he's given us the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That we simply chant his holy names, purify ourselves from our false idea of being ourselves supreme in some way, or getting there, and give up. Give it up. Surrender means to give up. To give up the false hope that we will ever find happiness in the material world. To give up the false idea that we are the controllers, that we are the supreme in any sphere, and to surrender to the actual Supreme Personality and beg to be always engaged in his service, to experience love, to come to that platform where we truly love Krishna, where we chant not because we have to, or we are trying to make some spiritual progress, but because we must, because we cannot. This is called ashakti. We are so attached to Krishna that we cannot help but think of him. That is our aspiration, and we're so fortunate to be here with this facility to do so. Hare Krishna. So, there's a note on this esteemed speakers. Take Q&A at 8:45, so I am 10 minutes over, but I do have 5 minutes. Promptly at 9 a.m. we have to end. So if there's any comments or questions, you are welcome to put them forward. And I also want to thank the devotees for helping me with this sorting out. And if anyone is willing to help me get them into the boxes afterwards, I would appreciate that too. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Okay. Oh, yes, Atavar.
We say that Krishna, like he has nothing to do, but then he like chooses to do things. But you could also say like, from his side, he has to reciprocate with his devotees, and it's not like a duty like when we have to get out of bed. And
Yes, yes.
But for him, it's still also it's like there is some. It's like a transcendental impetus rather than material impetus. Would you be able to say that? Or?
Yeah, he there is, just like us, we're impelled. Arjuna asked, what is it? What's going on? What's going on in this world? People are doing things, even that they know they're not supposed to do, or what's going on? And Krishna says, it's lust. It's lust. Lust is like that, like it's forcing them to do, to act. So Krishna is also, in one sense, forced by his love. His love for his devotees impels him. It's his... Krishna can't help but be Krishna. That is the one thing that he is powerless to stop. He cannot stop being God. He can stop knowing he's God. He can stop acting like God. He can stop, but he cannot, he is God. And he loves. And the nature of love, real love, is that there can never be any impediment to that love. It must flow. It must go. So that is the nature of Krishna's love. It has to go. He is impelled by his love to reciprocate with his devotees out of love. Not out of requirement or necessity, but out of love. It's not that he has to do it because of some natural laws or some mechanical systems. But that love that is him, it is him. That's who he is. He's love for us, is the essence of his nature. And that love impels him to reciprocate with his devotee, to do everything. Everything he's doing, everything, it's all coming out from love. So, does that answer your question?
And also a comment, Gardaba,
Yes.
demon, is another name for ass, in Gardaba Asura.
But Dhanuka's mentioned here.
Gardaba means ass. That's what I found.
Okay, well, all right, maybe I'm getting mixed up. Keshi, it's not Keshi?
Well, one thing they said, Dhanuka and Gardaba, and I guess maybe they didn't include a comma.
Maybe Keshi is Gardaba. Because Keshi is a horse, but he could all, anyway. All right, well, more research needed. Thank you, we are right on time. Hare Krishna, may your day be filled with remembrance of the Leelas of Krishna and filled with the chanting of his holy names and lots of nice service. I'm sure there's plenty to do. Do it with full energy and vigor and love and enthusiasm. Hare Krishna. Haribol, Jai Shila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
30. 3 to 30. 3 to 30, yeah. 3 to.
All right, whoever is willing